Does your fish's fins or tail look kind of torn up or eaten away? Could be fin rot. Keep watching as I share the fast and easy way to clear that infection right up. Hi, my name is Irene with Aquarium Co-op, and the first time I noticed fin rot was with one of my betta fish, because this type of infection is especially noticeable in species that have long and flowy fins, like goldfish and bettas, but it can happen to pretty much any type of aquarium fish. It's one of those diseases that gets progressively worse and worse, especially if you do nothing about it. So, for example, if you're wondering whether or not your fish has fin rot, stage 1 in the beginning kind of looks like a little bit of discoloration on the edges of your fish's fin or tails, whether it's turning white, red, maybe black or brown, and it can be especially hard to tell depending on what color your fish is. Stage 2 is when the fin edges start looking kind of uneven or ragged because those infected pieces have started to die and fall off. And then stage 3 is where entire fins or the tail is completely rotted off and the infection is starting to reach the body, which could lead to a loss of life. Other symptoms may include the fish looking very tired and lethargic, or maybe not wanting to eat anymore because its body is so focused on fighting the infection. Alright, now that we know what fin rot looks like, let's talk about how to treat it. So the first thing we want to do is check your fish's environment. We're going to play detective here, find the source of the problem that caused the fin rot in the first place, and then remove it. Because if we don't do that, it may very well come back even after you treat it. Dirty water is a common cause of fin rot, and so you want to take out that aquarium water test kit or test strips you have and look at the water parameters. Ideally, we want 0 parts per million or ppm of ammonia and nitrites, as well as less than 40 ppm of nitrates. If you find that poor water quality is the problem, there's many things you can do. For example, put a weekly reminder in your phone or calendar so that you won't forget to regularly clean that aquarium. You can also lessen the number of fish or lessen the amount of food that's going into the aquarium if overfeeding is a problem, because food in equals poo out. And then finally, consider putting live aquarium plants in your aquarium. They do a great job of consuming those toxic nitrogen compounds that come from your fish's waste. Some other sources of stress to look for are, is your filter too strong and making the current too fast? In that case, you might need to install some kind of DIY baffle for your filter, or maybe just get a gentler filter in general, like a sponge filter. How about sharp decor? Are there any decorations or hardscape that are accidentally ripping up your fish's fins? In that case, let's remove it or maybe sand down some of the sharp edges. A lot of beginners often forget to add an aquarium heater for their tropical fish, and that would be like, imagine being at the wrong temperature, being at 50 degrees Fahrenheit in your house all the time. It's just very uncomfortable and another source of stress to weaken their immune system. And then look for any aggression in the tank. Are there any bullies or flat out fin nippers that you need to remove from the tank? Or perhaps you can add some more cover and breaks in the line of sight so that the fish have somewhere to hide. For me, I had one betta who was always fighting his reflection, and he would be just so intensely going at it that he would stretch out his fins and tail so much it would develop holes and rips in it as he was trying to defend his territory. So in that case, obviously you want to remove the reflection. You can do that by maybe moving the tank so it's somewhere where it doesn't cause reflections, or installing some kind of non-reflective background on the sides and back of the aquarium. Another one of my bettas had the nasty habit of biting his tail. Kind of like, I guess, humans biting their nails. It can be caused by boredom, stress, maybe genetics. In that case, you want to provide more forms of enrichment and distraction for your betta. Things like maybe more betta toys or live foods for them to actually hunt. You can add even tank mates. Betta fish in the right environment and personality can be put in a community tank, and you can see a whole video about our favorite tank mates over here. Just remember, if you see a tear or hole in your fish's fins, it does not automatically mean it will become fin rot. If your fish is strong and healthy, living in a clean and peaceful environment and eating lots of good foods, most likely those fins will heal all on their own, no problems. However, if you find that clean water isn't working and that fin rot is just getting worse and worse, don't wait and just hope that things will get better. It's time to bring out the big guns and treat with medication. All right, the first thing we need to do is to clean the aquarium. A lot of these medications require you to not do any water changes during treatment, so we want to give your fish the optimal environment to recover in before we get started. So that means getting out that aquarium siphon and changing some water, removing as much fish waste as possible from the substrate. We want to clean the inside and outside of the aquarium walls so you can more clearly see any symptoms that your fish has. And then if you only have like one or a few fish that are affected, you may consider moving them to a hospital tank for treatment just so they can recover in quiet solitude away from the other fish. Now, fin rot is often caused by a bacterial or fungal infection. In fact, often it'll start with one type of infection and then a secondary infection will come in and take advantage of your weakened fish's body, so you're stuck dealing with both types. That's why we heavily recommend that you use a broad spectrum antibiotic called erythromycin, which is sold as Mardelmaricin in the United States, as well as an antifungal medication like Aquarium Solutions ICX. Now, if you're new to Aquarium Co-op, we have spent years and years and thousands of dollars testing what we call our quarantine medication trio. And basically we've shown that these two medications can be used together and they are safe with fish, plants, snails, and shrimp, as well as we found that it doesn't tend to affect beneficial bacteria in your filter. Okay, pay close attention because we are not going to follow the instructions on the back of the box or on the manufacturer's website. Go ahead and remove any chemical filtration, such as activated carbon or Seachem Purigen. And then dose 1 packet of Maricin and 1 teaspoon of ICX for every 10 gallons of water. Now, ICX comes in a lovely dark blue color, and while I personally haven't found it to stain any of my aquarium silicone or the decorations inside, it can sometimes get on your fingers or clothes if you're not careful. Let the medication sit in the water for 1 week without doing any water changes and without feeding your fish so that they won't dirty the water. I often recommend adding an air stone or sponge filter or some kind of air source to keep that water well oxygenated so that your sick fish are more comfortable, because sometimes the medications can change the viscosity or the thickness of the water. Then after 7 days, go ahead and do a normal water change. Feed your fish lots of healthy, new, high-quality foods to rebuild their strength, and then observe for signs of recovery, which I'll talk about in a second. If you can't get a hold of these medications in your country, aquarium salt is the next best thing to try. I'll have a link in the description of a blog post I wrote on how to dose it, how to increase or step up the concentration if needed, and how to remove it slowly from the water. Now, the reason why I didn't recommend this in the first place is because it is not safe for aquarium plants, snails, and several other kinds of animals, so you just need to be careful with it. How do you know when the fin rot has been cured? Well, the medication can take several days to beat the infection, but some signs of recovery include the fin rot has not progressed any, there are no new symptoms that have appeared, the fish's energy level and appetite are returning. And then finally, obviously, if you see fin growth, which funnily enough, can sometimes grow back in a different color than what it used to be. So in my betta fish's case, his fins grew back actually a clearish white and then eventually turned blue again like the rest of his body. Best of luck beating that case of fin rot, and I hope your fish makes a full and speedy recovery. See you later!